Okay, so before we get started, it just came to me in a flash. I don't know how it happened, but this negative 2 and a positive 4 is not going to remain a positive 4 from the previous video. So let's just fix that. That should actually be a plus 2, I think. Yes, okay, good. So back to this. When we multiply, we're going to FOIL this like we normally would, and we're going to put that on the shelf for a while. We'll hide it by this little thing, and we'll get back to it. Okay, when you FOIL this, x times x is x squared. The outer and the inner, you've got a minus 2x. The inner is a plus 1x. And the last is a minus 2. That all together gives you this x squared minus 1x and minus 2. Well, I covered that up before. This is still there, and it still needs to be taken care of. And I put it like this. There's the way it's written, there's a little x plus 5 off to the side. Now, you could FOIL this thing up if you want to, but and you could. I mean, I would probably put this x plus 5 over here because it's easier to take this and say I'm going to multiply this by each of these three things, and I'm going to take this 5 and multiply it by each of these three things. I would say, in fact, let's just do it that way because we're going to use the box here in the future, but the box could be used here as well to set up a 2 by 3 box. But let's just do this so we get a look at the FOIL. X times x squared is x cubed. The x times the negative 1 is a minus 1x squared. The x times the negative 2 is a negative 2x. Now, when you transition to the, I do them underneath. You can kind of do them wherever you see fit. But if I take this and look underneath, it doesn't get quite as confusing as having a bunch of rainbows over top. This just shows that this 5 now is going to get distributed to each of these three like the x was. But look what you can do to make your life a little easier. 5 times an x squared, if you line it up with the x squared that's already there, you're going to see like terms that just sort of line up pleasantly. This 5 times the negative 1, that's a negative 5x. And then the 5 times the negative 2 gives you a negative 10. Now that doesn't line up with anything, but there's no like term where you have the two constants, just like there's no other x cubed. So when we add these together, we get our x cubed, which is just by itself. This 5 minus 1 is a plus 4x squared. These are both minuses, so we're adding two negatives to get negative 7x. And then finally, we have our minus 10 at the end.